Sorry, y'all.
And what is going? Okay.
Oh, what's going? Hey, listen, we were frozen over here, man, because we got all of this breaking news coming through with free agency. Welcome to the AFC South Roundtable. Y'all hit the like button on the way in the building. Listen, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty right now, so y'all bear with me, all right? But listen, man, how you feeling, UCF Jaguar?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. We got better this year. Trent Baalke is spending some money. We got some, new additions to the offense, whether it be receiving core, offensive line, add a little bit to the defense. I think we're gonna be locked and loaded for a pretty good 2024 season.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What about you, Derek?
Feeling all right. The Indianapolis Colts, mainly through the first 48 hours of this, are mainly just going through re-signing a bunch of their guys that they need. So I'm really happy about it. Glad to see us bringing some of our guys back and finally spent a little bit of money outside the building. But I certainly think that Ballard has a couple more ideas up his sleeve to help with the secondary. So just have to wait and see.
All right. And Titan Rossi, how you feeling, man? Tennessee.
Man, I'm feeling better. It couldn't get much worse than last year. I guess it could. But I am feeling better. We have some good pickups. The only thing that I'm extremely sad about, Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, but thank God he did not go to the Texans, so I would not have to hear Ruben all show or whenever he shows up in here tonight, but I wouldn't have to hear him all show talk about that. But it's a sad day. It's kind of a bittersweet day for Titans fans because, Derrick Henry is a living legend in Nashville.
Man, I agree, man. It's just, sad to see an era end, but hey, they always happen. It's just a matter of time. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruben will be here shortly representing the Houston Texans, H-Town till he drown. He say he is on the way. That Danielle Hunter news got him shook. He's trying to get himself together, so he'll be in to talk his talk in just a little bit. But listen, we want to dive right in. We have so much to talk about going on in the AFC South. This division is up for grabs next year. All of these teams are making better moves to be in a better position. Y'all make sure you punch the like button on your way in the building. We will read the super chats if any of them are sent to get your message across and let these guys answer it. All right, so first and foremost, I want to start with UCF Jaguar, man. We got all of the moves that are being made in the AFC South, the free agency. How do you feel so far? What is your biggest move that you love for your team so far?
Well, yeah, I'm looking at so far. Like, I think the best move is, and probably most underrated move, which is probably going to surprise you guys, is probably signing former Bills center Mitch Morse to a 2-year, $10.5 million deal. And look, the Jaguars last year, the center position was so bad, it just made all the other players around the center when it comes to left guard and right guard just that much worse. So being able to bring in a big, strong center, a veteran guy that's able to stabilize that unit. Hopefully the whole entire offensive line stays healthy this year. That's going to be a big difference maker for both the run game and also just Trevor Lawrence, where he doesn't have to suffer, 3 different injuries in a month of December. So that one, it was a fun move by me, but also, I love the Gabe Davis move. The big thing that the Jaguars were missing this year was that, look, the Jaguars are pretty good inside when it comes to being able to throw the ball to Kirk and Evan Ingram. But on the outside, it took a little bit for Calvin Ridley to get his feet wet, and he didn't really have another perimeter threat. So I think being able to bring in a guy like Gabe Davis, and I remember when the Jaguars brought in Christian Kirk, and when the Jaguars brought in Evan Ingram, everyone said they're not that good. They're mid. They don't really do much, but they both came in there, career high seasons. Evan Ingram is one of 8 tight ends to ever have over 100 receptions in a season. I would expect when it comes to the boomer bust kind of nature that Gabe Davis has, I expect him to be able to kind of stabilize a little bit and be able to have an annual, like an every week kind of impact for the Jaguars. So I like these moves so far, and it feels like we did get better through free agency.
That's what's up. Let me ask you though, with the overall makeup of the team, do you feel like you truly address some positions of need? Do you feel like your depth is solid right now? And what would you like to see happen from this point?
Yeah, I mean, I like the moves. I think we got better at a bunch of positions, but one big glaring thing that's missing is the Jaguars haven't done anything on the defensive line. The Jaguars need interior defensive line help and an edge help. They need another pass rusher. When the Jaguars lost Arden Key to the Tennessee Titans, they replaced him with nobody, and our backup edges combined for 3 sacks in 2023. So something has to be done there. Maybe it's through free agency. They got to do something to do free agency, but maybe we look ahead to the draft and, kind of maybe address the positions on the first couple of days of the draft. But, so far, you can only address so many spots, and the Jaguars filled up a bunch of needs. You can see they're kind of sprinkling in, a different, position unit like here and there on all these different signings. So, that's the big thing that I would look for going forward.
Nice. I'm going to ask you one more thing, but before we do, ladies and gentlemen, please hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. AFC South Roundtable Live Free Agency Edition. One more thing, UCF Jaguar. Is there a quarterback competition? Mac Jones is in the house. What's going on?
That QB2 spot is going to look as bright as Gardner Minshew did back when he was QB1, man. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun, but in all seriousness, look, when CJ Beathard came in for the Jaguars, he got hurt really, really quickly. Like the first time he got hit, he got hurt. And I think the Jaguars just kind of saw them and said, you know what, this isn't really the backup that we want. So they bring in a backup that has, pretty decent upside. You're not bringing in like a world beater or anything, but I mean, Mac Jones is a Mac Jones. I mean, I don't know how many people get super, super pumped up about a backup quarterback, but, Mac Jones, we'll see how he does as he tries to kind of revive, I guess, his career post-Patriots.
Yeah, it was a lot of speculation that maybe the Jags weren't, so much sold on Trevor, but that's neither here nor there to be seen. We'll see as time tells. Let's move forward to the Indianapolis Colts, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, oh boy, not making a lot of moves, but they are making some moves. Talk to me, Derek. What is your favorite move so far?
Well, I mean, like you said, there's not been a lot of outside moves. The Indianapolis Colts have mainly just been looking to bring back some of their own players. And, that's what they had to do. And I know a lot of Colts fans really hate the fact that, Ballard hasn't made a ton of moves outside the building yet, but you had to bring in Michael Pittman, who is one of the better wide receivers in the league. You had to bring back Kenny Moore because he's your only veteran corner that you have, and he's one of the best slot corners in all of football. And of course, Grover Stewart, who's probably the best run-stopping defensive tackle there is in the game right now. So, you had to bring in a lot of these guys to help make sure that they didn't go anywhere else. And then that's just another hole that you have to fill down the line. I know it's not flashy, but Indy is keeping some of the centerpieces around. And, there hasn't been a lot of other things that have happened so far. We have to see whether or not they're going to bring in Julian Blackmon once again. I mean, he's going to be a free agent here still as well. And we'll have to see how that goes. And then I've heard that they're still trying to work through some guys in the secondary. There's still a lot of safeties and a lot of corners that are still out there that the Colts are going to try to go after. But I mean, yeah, as compared to like everyone else in this division, you're right. There's definitely been a lot less outside free agent moves that have happened. So, I mean, hey, I can't complain about some of the stuff that we've had. I'd say the best contract that I've seen for Indy probably, I mean, it's a toss-up between Pittman's and Kenny Moore's at this point, because I thought Kenny Moore was going to cost about 13 or 14 million given what Awuzie just got out of Tennessee. So I thought we were going to end up getting more out of him for that. And then for Pittman's deal, I mean, 23 million over the next few years is going to be actually a really good contract given what some of these next contracts for these top wide receivers are going to be. So, overall, I can't complain about those deals.
Well, Derek, I got to bring up the elephant in the room, okay? I got to bring this up. About an hour ago, I was looking at reports that the Indianapolis Colts are about to snag Danielle Hunter. And I was like, man, it's about to go down for the Colts on the round table. And I look up and you let Ruben come steal, or what up, Ruben?
Hey, I apologize for being late, man. The Houston Texans, they make a splash. 4-time Pro Bowler Danielle Hunter coming off of 16 and a half sacks. Look, we knew that Nick Caserio was going to have to upgrade the edge position, but we weren't thinking Danielle Hunter. Nick Caserio dropped his nuts on the table. He saw the schedule ahead next year and said, I am going to get some of the best talent. It wasn't just Danielle Hunter. Actually, Danielle Hunter is from the H. Welcome home, H-Town, till I freaking drown. But you also made a trade for a running back, Joe Mixon. Welcome to the Houston Texans. A dynamic running back is now in Houston. Dude, it was a great day today.
Oh, you're muted, TD.
Oh, my bad. Listen, man, Ruben, we're gonna get to the Houston Texans because I got a lot to ask. I want to go back to Derek if I can with the coach right now. So the thing is, how do you feel about the makeup of the team now? Where do they still need to put a lot of the work into?
Oh, I mean, the rest of the work 100% is in the secondary. I mean, there's nowhere else that Ballard should be looking. Like, you got the defensive line interior depth that you need with the recent one that you got. You have your defensive line figured out, at least for now. You brought back your wide receiver. You're probably going to approach that in the draft. But, I mean, you have to go secondary. I mean, you still, despite bringing back Kenny Moore, this is still the same secondary that you had. And actually, it's not, because you still don't have Julian Blackman back, who was your starting safety and has been a really good safety for the Indianapolis Colts, who had his best season this last season before going down with an injury. So, I mean, Indy has a lot of work to do in the cornerback and the safety room. There's still a lot of guys that are still, available for that, which is why I'm still hopeful. Indy has been one of the teams that has been extremely involved in the trade market for L'Jarius Sneed. I would love to be able to see that happen. If we could, if that doesn't work out, there's Kendall Fuller that's out there. There's Justin Simmons. There's a couple other guys in the safety room that I wouldn't mind. But these safeties, they're coming off the board one by one over the last couple hours here, and I really hope that Indy is able to pull something together because, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of room needed to be fixed in that secondary right now.
So you lost your starting quarterback in Gardner Minshew. What do you do from this point on with Anthony Richardson set to return? How do you address that backup position for the Colts?
I have a feeling they'll do it in the draft. I have a feeling they'll probably get a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round of this year's draft. We've kind of mentioned a few times names like Jordan Travis or Joe Milton out of Tennessee. That's just a couple of different names that I've mentioned before. I'm just not sure. I don't know if there's anyone on the quarterback market right now that I would look to maybe do that. Maybe Josh Dobbs. Maybe that's about it. I don't know if there's a lot of other guys that are looking to be that backup quarterback role right now. I really wanted Tyrod Taylor, but he ended up just going from one New York team to the other. So that's going to definitely be interesting. I don't know if Ballard should put any more time and effort into it. I would honestly just go with one in the draft, save yourself the time and the money, and just focus strictly on the defense right now.
Interesting. And I'll come back to the Colts in a moment. We want to move forward to the Tennessee Titans, man. Titan Rossi, talk to us. How do you feel about free agency so far? How are things looking, and what moves do you feel still need to be made?
I mean, I like what Rand Carthon has done so far. Him and Brian Callahan, Awuzie, I have a hard time saying that one. He's a really good addition. I mean, he tore his ACL in 2022. He bounced back in 2023. He was one of the better cornerbacks out there available. I like Tony Pollard. There's a lot of Titans fans who don't like the addition of Tony Pollard. They wanted somebody else or whatever. But I think, I mean, you potentially have like a two-headed monster there in Tennessee with Pollard and Tyjae Spears. A lot of people say their styles are similar, but really, I mean, in this Brian Callahan new offense, it's going to be different. Gone are the days of Derrick Henry, unfortunately, of just ground and pound the whole game. I mean, that's why they brought in Brian Callahan to move into the new era. And I like what they're doing. I mean, Lloyd Cushenberry is an awesome pickup, one of the best centers in the league. Aaron Brewer, who went to your team, the Dolphins, I mean, he wasn't the worst center in the league. The problem is with him, with a run heavy offense, like we had, I mean, he would get beat up all the time because he's like 275 pounds. Now, he might fare better in the Dolphins system, the way they run their offense and everything. But Cushenberry is just, for our offense, is just it's a hell of a pickup. Kenneth Murray, the graphics wrong there. It's 2 years, 18 million.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy like I didn't know anything about. I had to scroll all the way to the bottom of PFF. I literally think he was the last linebacker. There might have been another page. I don't know, but he did do better last year. He had like 107 tackles. Actually, he had the best year of his career. 107 tackles, 3 sacks. And did he? Oh, he played for the Chargers. Okay. But I like what they're doing so far. They still need a tackle, of course, that could be addressed in the draft. They need another guard. They need a cornerback. Now, there's a lot of rumors going around that they're trying to go after Snead from Kansas City. But, I don't know if I want to give up what we're going to have to give up for a player like that.
Just very interesting times. I was a little taken aback when they signed Tony Pollard to a 3-year, $24 million, average of $8 million a year. I just kind of felt like, why didn't they just keep Derrick Henry and let him finish his career for the fans in Tennessee? What's your thoughts on that? And why they made that decision to pay a guy who some wouldn't say is better than Derrick Henry more money?
I think, honestly, man, I think Derrick wanted to leave. I mean, I was there at the Jaguars game, the last game of the season. And it was at the end of the game, he gave this speech, and it was almost like he was already out, like he was already checking out in a way. And everybody knew. I mean, the way he talked during the pressers and all that, I mean, they just knew that he was ready to go, and he's ready. He was on Bussing with the Boys. He talked about wanting to win a ring. And obviously the Titans are not there. They're not going to be there next year to be in the running to win a ring and all that. They might sneak into the playoffs if they do well enough in the draft and free agency. But, I think Derrick wanted to go, man. And I think a lot of Titans fans are happy for him, to be honest. I don't know if they're happy he went to the Ravens, but I think, everybody wants what's best for him because he was such a, just a force in Tennessee. I mean, people love that dude, the city, all the stuff he did. And, I hope he does well there, man. I hope he kills it in Baltimore.
I agree, man. Hey, it's come to an end. That era has come to an end. He'll always be a Titan great, and I'm sure they'll do something for him and maybe put him up there in those Raptors or something. I don't know your thoughts on that. You think he's worthy of it?
Oh, 100%, dude. That should be the next name they put up there.
Awesome. All right. All right. It's time to get to the Houston Texans. Oh, man. I got to keep it a buck with y'all.
Go ahead.
Joe Mixon, wow. Danielle Hunter, unreal. Dalton Short, solid. Aziz, wow. Danico, man. Jeff Okuda, interesting. I'll stop right there. All right. But listen, man, Ruben.
Yes, sir.
How are you liking free agency and what is this team doing, man?
Well, if you would have asked me yesterday, I would have said underwhelming, right? And I love the moves that we made yesterday, don't get me wrong, but those are day 2 type of moves. Getting Joe Mixon, getting Daniel Hunter is day 1 stuff. And, the Houston Texans, they knocked it out the park today. We knew a running back was needed here, right? And the options were dwindling. Swift gone, Saquon Barkley, we got outbidded for from the Philadelphia Eagles. And we knew we had to do something. I thought, man, are we going to overpay for Derrick Henry? But no, the Houston Texans traded for Joe Mixon, and he was set to be a free agent, but Nick Caserio decided that he didn't want to get into a bidding war anymore and gave them a 7th-round pick. That's what landed Joe Mixon. Absolutely love that deal. And then Daniel Hunter. I mean, I did not think the Houston Texans were going to pull this off. There have been reports that he wanted $30 million. We got him, $30 million for a year. We got him around 24.5 a year. He comes home. Is there a hometown discount that we saw? You would love to, you would love for it to be true. But the Houston Texans, they absolutely kill it. And then with yesterday's additions, right? Azeez Al-Shaair, his first action last year with the Tennessee Titans was behind a lot of talent in San Francisco, played well for them, and is the type of linebacker that the Houston Texans need is, a run thumper, someone who's fearless and who could attack the gap at will. And that's exactly what Azeez Al-Shaair is. A lot of Houston Texans fans wanted Patrick Queen, but kind of felt like Patrick Queen wasn't the right linebacker for this Houston Texans defense. Azeez Al-Shaair definitely fits that. Danico Autry, 33 years old and 11 and a half sacks. What is not to like about that? He's just consistent at getting to the quarterback, right? 11 and a half this year. I think it was 8 last year, 9 the year before. This is now his 3rd AFC South team. Last 3 years with the Tennessee Titans, the 3 years before that with the Indianapolis Colts, now a Houston Texans for the next 2 years. Excited to see Danico Autry get some revenge on the Titans and the Colts. Jeff Okudah, that is interesting. Let's call it what it is. He's a bust, former number 3 overall pick by the Detroit Lions, now in his 3rd team in just 5 NFL seasons. If it doesn't work out here, is it going to work out anywhere else? I'm not too sure, but this move does not hinder you from getting another cornerback in free agency, getting another one in the NFL draft, and there has to be a competition between him and Lonnie Johnson, right? Shout out to Lonnie, former 2nd-round pick by the Houston Texans. What he was known for was getting into arguments with fans on Twitter. What was funny is hours leading into free agency, Lonnie Johnson tweeted out, "They're not going to like this." Then boom, the news hits. Lonnie Johnson is returning home. Overall, the Houston Texans got themselves 4 to 6 starters. I am excited for what's to come. Shout out to General Manager Nick Caserio.
All right. Well, I got to ask some tough questions for all 4 of you guys right now. Okay. Listen, it ain't going to be easy, but let's get it done, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I'm going to start with Titan Rossi. Who is to be feared the most at this very moment in the AFC South?
You got to go with the Texans. Daniel Hunter, Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz. Shire, I'm not as big on Shire. He is a good player. He is a good enough player. Paying him 36 mil or 34 mil, I don't know. But Autry is a beast. He is going to be 34. But yeah, you got to give it to the Texans at this point. I would think just where we're at. We'll see how the draft goes and all that stuff. But you got to look at what they've done. They're going all in. It looks like they are literally going all in trying to get this thing. And I don't blame them,
Yeah,
I don't blame them at this point in time.
I think the all-in narrative is a good thing because they got a quarterback just on his first year finish, and they still got 3 to 4 more years of favorable cap space because of that. So that's interesting. Derek, who's the most feared right now in the division?
Of course, you have to go with the Texans right now. Despite all the other moves, really the only 2 that reign really to me any kind of significance to their roster was Joe Mixon and Daniel Hunter, of course, because Joe Mixon, being the guy that, was in Cincinnati for a long time, a great running back, much better than what they've had in their recent memory, and still isn't the best running back in the AFC South, but it's close. And then with obviously Hunter coming in, you lost Jonathan Grenard. I thought there was no way that they would come in and fix that. And now you just brought a guy in that won't be around for as long, but he definitely brings a much bigger impact than him, at least from a pass rush perspective. So, I mean, outside of everything else, those two moves definitely drastically impact the Texans, both on the offense and on the defense. So, I mean, I got to give it to them. They're definitely making some big moves.
UCF, talk to us.
Oh my gosh, it's got to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, man. Look, last year it took a Jaguars team to allow other teams to kind of sneak in. Okay, look, next year when the Jaguars are actually healthy and we have Trevor Lawrence behind a good offensive line, you're going to add Gabe Davis to the mix. Calvin Ridley's coming back. He's playing games with the Patriots to try to drive up his value. We're going to bring Josh Allen back, and he's only going to be better. We're going to get some more defensive line help. Look, overall, the Jaguars are going to be a team to beat. But right now, I'll just say the Texans right now because I love the way the Jaguars play in the shadows of other teams. Everybody's going to be looking at the Houston Texans. And I remember Ruben last year saying, nobody expected anything from us. We are the underdogs. They're no longer the underdogs, guys. Everybody's going to be picking them to go to the Super Bowl. CJ Stroud's on every podcast out here talking about how good he is and talking about how trash everybody else is. You're going to have the Jaguars hunting in the shadows, okay? The Jaguars are the team to beat.
Man, oh man, Ruben, how you feel about that? Who's the team to beat in the AFC South?
Look, it's Houston, and they know that they're not the underdogs anymore. That's why they got themselves a Joe Mixon. That's why they got themselves a Daniel Hunter. What you love about the Joe Mixon, though, I forgot to mention this, the Houston Texans were a top 15 offense and only had 3 100-yard performances all year. And those were by our backup, Devin Singletary. And all of those 3 100-yard performances were victories. Now imagine this offense with Joe Mixon. With Daniel Hunter, I mean, you are putting him opposite of Will Anderson Jr. coming up with a defensive rookie of the year. You might have 2 double-digit sack edge rushers next year. The Houston Texans know what's in front of them. CJ Stroud knows that as well. And they're trying to make a statement. And this is exactly what we wanted to see from general manager Nick Caserio. You now have the money. Go spend it. And let's try to get to places that we have never been before.
Well, here's what I'll say.
Say it.
Both teams, the Houston Texans and the Jaguars, made some nice moves. We understand that Tennessee's building something, and the Colts, unfortunately, they missed out on a few things. That Daniel Hunter miss was massive for the Colts. It would have been massive if they had gotten them, in my opinion. But what I will say is you can't sleep on the addition of Gabe Davis for Trevor Lawrence. Ezra Cleveland, they traded for him. They locked him down. Josh Allen, we already know what time it is. They made some really nice moves. And if Trevor was to go down again, Mac Jones, can he help them win that 1 or 2 more games to hold the Texans off this time? It's a fight between those two teams. I got to see some more about the Colts and the Titans. We'll see how that goes. But here's what I want to ask you guys, okay? How does your team stack up in the AFC now, 1 through 16? I want to start with Titan Rossi.
Woo. That's a tough question, man, for me. I would say, I don't know. I'm going to be optimistic here. Let's see, out of 16, I'm going to go with like 10th. I think they're going to win. I think the Titans are going to pull out like 8 games this year, 7 or 8 games. That might put them at 10th, maybe 11th, something like that, possibly. So I think that's where we're going to be.
So you believe that only 5 teams are below the Titans in the AFC. Do you know which 5 teams that is?
Man, I really don't, dude. I'd have to go back. I'd have to go look at the list and all that. But no, I think the Titans are going to win 7 or 8 games. I really do. With the additions that they're going to make and getting an offensive line, I feel like they are. So, we'll see how it goes.
Derek, where do you stand on this one?
Well, I think as long as Anthony Richardson stays healthy, I still firmly believe that this Indianapolis Colts team can go easily just as far as they did last year, if not better. I fully expect them to actually be better. I said 10 wins is still a possibility. And, with the chance to go to the playoffs again this year, I mean, I fully believe that. So, I am a little disappointed that we haven't really made a ton of moves outside of keeping some of our own guys right now. But even despite some of these rosters, bringing in all these new players, it's still a lot of opportunities for the Indianapolis Colts to make some things happen. So I will say that we still are going for those 10 wins and still with a good shot of making the playoffs. And we still got a shot at the division. I still know that for a fact.
Interesting. UCF Jaguar. Hold on, Derek. 1 through 16. Which number you gave me?
I'd say 7 or 8. That's
Ooh.
realistic.
So you're a playoff? You're 7 or 8. It matters. We need to know.
All right, I'll say 7. I'll say 7.
Wild card?
Yeah, wild card.
Man, oh man. All right. UCF Jaguar. Where do you stack up in the AFC?
Look, I'm going to give respect where respect is due. I'm not going to rate us too high. I think that the Bills with Josh Allen are right now better than us. The Lamar Jackson with the Ravens, Joe Burrow with the Bengals, and obviously Patrick Mahomes with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I got to put the Jaguars at number 5. We're going to shock the world. We're going to really show, hey, what does a healthy Trevor Lawrence look like around a healthy crew? It's going to be fireworks, man.
And just so you all know, there's breaking news. Patrick Mahomes just restructured his contract to save the team almost $22 million. Look like they're going to get a receiver, boys.
Hollywood Brown.
I've been seeing the Calvin Ridley to
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley staying with the Jaguars right now.
Bro,
Higgins.
if the Chiefs get Calvin Ridley, bro, they're not
now.
Gonna
From what I heard,
they're getting Hollywood.
What I heard was the Bengals were trying to get Justin Jefferson out of the Vikings there, and they said they were offering them a first, a second, and T. Higgins, and they said no to that. So I don't know. That's the Bengals are playing really hard to get right here, but they can they could definitely get rid of him for sure. I don't know. I think they probably take Ridley over him just because they don't have to trade it, I would say.
Hey, well, they're about to do something. They just cleared $22 million. So
I really hope this does not mean they're keeping L'Jarius Sneed. If that's the case, then I'm gonna be so mad.
So what is the circumstance with Calvin Ridley right now?
So here's the deal with Calvin Ridley, okay? The Jaguars, if they sign him today, then a part of the trade deal, they would have to give up a second-round pick. But if they wait until 4:01 p.m. tomorrow to sign him, they're only giving up a third-round pick. So right now, he has a big offer on the table from the New England Patriots, but he's not accepting it. You know what I mean? He's just kind of waiting, and I think the Patriots are offering him a little bit more, and the Jaguars are kind of bumping up a little bit. But if you look at Calvin Ridley, he's definitely not a young guy. He's 29 years old, which isn't like old, but he only probably has a few more years left of his prime. And, just because he was like in and out of orphanages growing up. So he started high school a little bit late. So he got a late start in his whole entire career. And he's a guy that I think when he leaves his legacy behind, when he looks at himself right now, he probably hasn't accomplished everything that he wants to accomplish. So when you look at his situation, if you want the next 3 years of your career, do you want them on a New England Patriots who you have no idea who their quarterback's going to be? They're going through a bunch of changes on the coaching staff. There's just not a lot of stability there. Or do you want to do it with the Jaguars, who appear to have their quarterback? Calvin Ridley is from the state of Florida, and obviously he took a couple years off and he really got going the second half of the 2023 season. You would think that, with him understanding like what's really, really important to him, obviously money's important, but he also wants to put up his own numbers. He got over 1,000 yards receiving last year. So right now, the word on the street is that he's going to be a Jaguar. It's just going to happen after 4:00 tomorrow. So, the Jaguars, he can help the Jaguars keep that second round pick.
But he's free to sign with any team?
Yes, he is.
So do we know what the Patriots offer was?
I mean, the Patriots right now are really, really trying to get him, but right now, like if let's just say this, if Calvin really wanted to be a Patriot, he'd be a Patriot right now.
Yeah.
The more time that goes by, the more it's clear that he's probably not going to go with the Patriots. You know what I mean?
Doesn't want to go to a rebuilding situation with no quarterback right now. So
and it's different if you were like, say, like if you were a Gabe Davis, for example. Gabe Davis is like 25 years old. Maybe he's a guy that will go out there and grab the bag. But if you're 29 years old, this is your second contract. You took a lot of time off of football. You were just now getting acclimated to the Jacksonville Jaguars. You would think a guy like that, would probably, as long as the money is kind of similar, would probably wind up going to the place where he knows the quarterback, likes the quarterback, and just likes the team build overall.
This is an interesting thing because him on the Jags can change the whole trajectory of the team. Him on the Chiefs would just make the entire AFC mad. Him on the Patriots, just depend on how good the young quarterback can be that they bring in. I guess we just have to keep up on this to see what ends up happening. But UCF, what do you see happening? The final conclusion with Calvin Ridley.
I see the Jaguars signing him, and I think the Jaguars, honestly, if this whole draft pick thing wasn't in play, I think they probably could have got him for $16-17 million a year. But I think the Patriots actually are driving up the price of Calvin Ridley, so I think it's probably getting more toward $20 million a year, maybe like a 3-year deal for him, $20 million a year type of thing, maybe some incentives thrown in there as well. But I think that he returns to Jacksonville, and the Jaguars will have an expensive wide receiver room. I think that they would definitely need to try to at least finally go young, because if you look at the pass catchers, everybody's making money. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, like Calvin Ridley will be making money. You know what I mean? You got Gabe Davis and everything. So yeah, they're going to have to definitely go young eventually, but I don't know. I just feel like if Calvin Ridley, wanted to be a Patriot, he'd be a Patriot right now. I just think that it was kind of a wink, nod, handshake type of thing to wait until tomorrow at 4:00 when the new league year begins.
Interesting. All right. Well, you said your team is number 5, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. In the AFC, Ruben, where does the Houston Texans stand in the AFC?
Currently, they're in the top 5.
We need a number, baby. You can't run away.
I'm gonna go ahead and say 3. I'm gonna go ahead and say 3 right now. Only the Chiefs, and I'll say
Dolphins.
No. I'll say the Bills. I'll give it to the Bills
for
right
the Ravens. They just smoked y'all.
You think they're gonna be better than the Ravens?
We just got 2 guys who had 11.5 sacks and 16.5, and you just got a dynamic running back who has played against someone like the Baltimore Ravens and hard competition. The Houston Texans right now, they did exactly what they needed to do, which is surround CJ Stroud with talent while he is under his rookie contract until you pay him as much as ever CJ Stroud wants. Right now, I see the Houston Texans as a top team in the AFC. They were almost there last year. And with the additions that they got, 4 to 5 starters, man, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now, man. It's hard not to. It is hard not to. What you wanted General Manager Nick Caserio to do is exactly what he did, which was bring in talent and spent money. And, you did do that trade for Joe Mixon. You're paying him $8.5 million, not cheap. And then you are paying Danielle Hunter around $25 million. So Houston Texans put their money where their mouth is, man, and they're trying to make a run for it.
Man, so what I'm hearing in this division, Texans 3, Jaguars 5, the Colts are 7, wild card. So we got 3 teams in the playoffs, by the way. And Titan Rossi say 10, 11 in that range. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to say 11 or 12. We could, the Chargers, Broncos, Raiders might be worse. You got the Patriots, the Jets. Well, unless Aaron Rodgers is coming back for sure or whatever, but maybe 11th or 12th for us.
All right, so let's switch gears and I want to talk opponents versus division, okay? Mm-hmm. The AFC South this year and the AFC has to face the AFC East this year, okay? That is the Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots, all right? I want to know, how do you feel that your team is going to fare this year versus the AFC East? I want to start with Titan Rossi. What will be your record finishing with those 4 games?
You got the Dolphins, Bills, Jets, and who else in the East?
Patriots.
I'm gonna say, I don't know, man. That's tough. I'm probably gonna have to go. I'm gonna say 2-2, man.
Okay.
I think we could sneak one out, and then I think we'll beat the Patriots.
Which one do you think you're more likely to sneak out?
It really depends on. It really depends on the Jets, man, and how Aaron Rodgers comes back this year. But I could see possibly the Jets being one of those. If it's at home, I would have to see which games are at home and are away too.
Got it. What about yourself, Derek?
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna say 2-2. I will say a win over the Patriots, easy. And then as far as the other one, I would say probably over the Bills. Sorry, Dan Mitchell.
Wow.
I'm gonna say over the Bills. You know, the Colts always tend to play the Bills really well, and especially in recent encounters. But you know, TD, you're gonna love this because I'm gonna blow your head up here for a second. But I don't trust our defensive scheme. Gus Bradley's cover 3 zone scheme just absolutely is ridiculous. We don't have the players right now necessary to play that kind of scheme unless we start getting some players in here that are more veterans and know how to run it. You saw just what the Texans were able to do to us in that last game of the season. Nico Collins was just zooming past our safeties. And if he can do that, I can only imagine what your pair of wide receivers could do. I just don't think we have enough of a defense to really slow them down. And the other one, I think the Jets will be a rough one for us. It's the same thing. I don't know what it is about us playing the Jets, but the Jets have always been a pain in our side for the longest time. I don't know what it is, but we can't beat them. I just don't get it. So the only time I can recall in recent memory that they've actually beaten the Jets was when Andrew Luck was still there. So yeah, we'll go 2-2, I think.
All right, 2-2 and 2-2. UCF Jaguar. How do you fare versus the AFC East?
When I look at it, for some reason, the Jaguars play really well against the Bills. Trevor Lawrence is 2-0 against Josh Allen. So I'll have to knock that one as a W. For me, the Patriots, that's an easy W. Don't really talk about that too much. New York Jets, I like their roster. I like the way they construct everything. But, right now, Aaron Rodgers has this team by the nuts and controls them like a puppet. So, and I just don't really like Robert Saleh. I don't think he's the right guy to lead. You hear different reports come out about how they went about practices. And I don't know. I don't trust them. Every year we rate these. Right now they have the 4th or 5th best odds on BetUS to win the AFC. And I'm why do they get all this love every year? So we'll see if Rodgers comes back, what happens there. So I say 3-1 because I think the Jaguars is a tough matchup against the Dolphins because as a Jaguars roster stands right now, they need to address cornerback very, very early because, quite frankly, I don't think the Jaguars have a single defensive back that can guard the speed and likeness of Tyreek Hill. So when I look at the AFC East, I would probably say 3-1 with the only loss being to the Dolphins.
I hope you're listening, Richie. Go ahead, Ruben. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say 3-1 also. I think the Houston Texans get their lick back against the New York Jets, right? They hurt CJ Stroud that game. He is going to come back on a revenge. I am not worried about, two of these nuts at all, the Miami Dolphins, the Houston Texans. They're going to handle business with that. Not even worried about the New England Patriots either. The Houston Texans have had their number the past couple of seasons. But the Bills, I cannot remember the last time the Houston Texans have traveled over there and won a football game. And I saw this team play in bad weather, and they did not look good. And you know how horrible Buffalo gets. I see the Houston Texans being 3-1 and maybe a very close loss to the Buffalo Bills.
So you're on the road versus the Bills?
I think we are.
Okay. Interesting. So 3-1, 3-1, 2-2, 2-2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this division is going 10-6 against the AFC East. That's interesting to me. You know why?
Why?
Which division do you think is the better division in football? Start out with Titan Rossi.
I mean, if you're looking at it as a whole, I mean, on the surface, you'd have to say the East, right? I mean, with Miami, I don't know. As a whole, I guess you would have to say, just starting out on paper with the Jets, with Aaron Rodgers, the Dolphins, the Bills. So yeah, I think, you know, I'm just not as sold on the Jets right now as everybody else is, but we'll see how it goes. We do play them at home. So, and the Titans typically will sneak up and get somebody like they did the Dolphins last season, you know?
Derek?
I say it's really close. I say just this season would probably be the AFC East, but in 2025, it's 100% going to be the AFC South. 100%. Because, look, the Bills, Josh Allen's getting figured out. As great as he is, he's getting figured out. He's turning the ball over way too much. They're losing all their players. They're having to restructure all these deals, you know, because they're way over cap. You know, I remember, I think it was Richie or someone that was talking about the cap situation for Dan the other day, and it might have been UCF talking to him about it recently. But yeah, their window was like last year, and now it's kind of pretty much come and gone. You know, the only saving grace that the AFC East has right now is the Dolphins, and I still don't trust them to, once playoff time comes around. I would much rather trust the Houston Texans right now in the playoffs than what I would the Dolphins. But the only saving grace for you guys as to why it's better is because the Jets just right now, I think, have a higher ceiling for this season with Aaron Rodgers coming back. But with the Jaguars still being relevant and the Colts on the up and up, and the Patriots are just going way down still, we'll have to see what quarterback they get. But I think in 2025, the AFC South will be the better division than the AFC.
But in 2024, which the question is geared around, which one?
Barely.
So you're going with the East in 24?
Barely, yes.
All right, UCF Jaguar, where you stand on this? 24.
I don't know, man. I'm afraid to say anything bad because you guys might withhold payment from me. But yeah, we'll say that. Look, the AFC South last year had 3 teams finish with winning records, and it feels like all those teams are on an upward trajectory. While you look at the AFC East, and you know, obviously the Bills had to basically fire sale the whole entire roster. Bunch of really big names out of there. The Miami Dolphins might have lost their best player on the offensive and defensive line, so their trenches appears to have gotten worse through this whole entire free agency period with Christian Wilkins and Robert Hunt both gone. And then the New York Jets, what am I going to expect out of them? I'm going to get all this good stuff. Like Aaron Rodgers is him. He's got like, you know, he's on this new hallucinogen that's going to just take over the NFL, and he'll be all, I don't know. And then you have the Patriots are kind of like the Titans of the division. They're just kind of doing their own thing, trying to rebuild in their own way. So I gotta say the AFC South, man.
What's so funny, Derek? You thought that was?
Hey, I'm fine. Hey, listen, I may not have said it, but I'm glad he said it. I'm not no shame in that.
I ain't afraid to say anything, okay?
I know you're not.
And I've said some really stupid stuff in this last 24
I mean,
this last 365 days.
The worst GM in the entire division. The last video.
Well, that's true.
You said you wanted to do it just to piss people off.
He can't win the AFC South.
Taking a page right out of Dan Mitchell's playbook right there.
No, he can't win the AFC South with anything.
Well, Ruben, what about you? Set him straight. Tell him what it is, man.
I mean, it's hard not to agree with UCF. I mean, every team in the AFC South is on the rise, right? Tennessee, even though it hasn't been a really flashy free agency, they are trying to build around Will Levis. Jaguars, I mean, you heard UCF say tomorrow they get back Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's a 1,000-yard wide receiver for them, stepped up for when Christian Kirk went down, when Zay Jones went down. The Indianapolis Colts, right, showing some love to Michael Pittman. They are paying the guys, Grover Stewart as well, that they need to pay. And all four of us have quarterbacks that we believe in and have guys that we think could be the franchise. And just like, Jaguar just said, at one point last season, we all thought, 3 AFC South teams were going to be in the playoffs. And with the growth of these young quarterbacks, I have no doubt we might see that once again. When you look at the AFC East, I mean, the Patriots, they're rebuilding. The Jets, they're just, nothing goes right for them. Nothing goes right for that city. So, and then with the Miami Dolphins losing two, big pieces, and I don't think Tua Tagovailoa is that guy. I don't even think our guy over here thinks Tua is that guy at all either. Well, that being
he may not be that guy, but many people say he's better than CJ Stroud. But go ahead.
I mean, no, that's just not true. I don't even think a crackhead will take that day on the sidewalk, man. But it's the AFC South, man. Hands down.
Oh my gosh, man! Listen, it's gonna be interesting to see how you all end up. You got to be kidding me.
Go ahead.
What?
All right, it's over. It's over for the AFC South. Texans might even win the Super Bowl. They just they just traded for Patrick Surtain.
No shot. No shot.
Oh, wait.
Patrick
Let me
Surtain.
see.
Wow.
Hold on.
What?
Where'd you see this at?
2 second-round
I
picks.
don't see it anywhere.
What?
Hold
on.
on.
I ain't seeing that. Where's that at?
Oh no, it was just wishful thinking to get at Ruben for his take.
Golly,
Wow,
I'm like,
TD, that's dirty,
are
bro.
you serious right now?
I was about to go
Dirty.
criminal.
Wow.
I was about to go criminal.
Okay.
Everybody left to go check.
I know. I was checking on the.
Oh,
I was like, I ain't following the right people right now.
You're talking about two shutdown corners, Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter. Oh my God!
Then it would have been over for almost everyone in the AFC South.
My bad,
You would be
Ruben,
the third.
my
Well,
bad.
if I could say one thing, Patrick Storm, someone who's sourced here in the H, he had just tweeted out just a couple of seconds ago that the Houston Texans are not done, and they are getting all their stuff together and then trying to see who would be available in the safety market. So
I've been chatting with Rossi in the chat here, talking about how the Titans are linked to Justin Simmons, and if that happens, dude, I'll be so mad.
He's such a Titan type player too.
He would be,
Yeah.
But that's under Vrabel. But so I don't know. But listen, we got a super chat. The first one by Kageman Tide. What position you guys hoping for your team first in the draft? I know it's early. We'll start with Titan Rossi.
Offensive tackle all the way. Joe Alt or Fashanu. Either one of those guys I'd be fine with. I'm hoping Alt falls to 7, but yeah, offensive tackle all the way for me.
Offensive tackle. Derek, what about you? Which player?
Either it's Brock Bowers or any of the top wide receivers that are still available there. I feel like Indy has to go and try to get a top tier weapon on the offensive side to try to add some firepower for Anthony Richardson.
Interesting. UCF draft time. What do you got?
Yeah, man, I like my first round picks like I like my bitches thick. Give me offensive line or defensive line, okay?
Oh my God, dude.
Ruben was thrown away with that one. What's up, Ruben?
Ruben's face, bro.
Yeah, Ruben was shocked by that one.
Okay.
Ruben
did. Oh, I did not expect that to come
Oh
out
my
of you.
God.
for me at pick 23, I think it's either wide receiver or defensive tackle. Someone like Brian Thomas Jr. or Xavier Worthy would just excite me so much as a third option for CJ Stroud. Defensive tackle wise, if somehow Byron Murphy falls to 23, you're snagging him. I don't think he does. Jerzon Johnny Newton, defensive tackle from Illinois, could be there. at 23. And hey, man, fat girls need love too, man. So
Hey, Ruben, I
know,
better get my beer. That I retweeted your post.
oh my God,
Earlier. You better get me a beer, bro.
that's so I owe 500 people a beer.
You have 558 retweets on that.
I did one for Saquon, and I said to the Texans sign Saquon, I'll get my girlfriend pregnant, and that went off for like 600.
Some of y'all be saying the wildest shit, bro.
Listen, if
And
you're
y'all think I'm
watching this,
crazy.
if y'all watching this craziness right now, make sure that you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the AFC South Roundtable. Right now, we have over 250 people watching on YouTube, over 220 people watching on Twitter, almost 500 viewers all together. Make sure that if you're on Twitter, come over to YouTube, sub to the channel, show your love and support for the AFC South Roundtable. All right, guys, one more question before we get out of here on this free agency frenzy edition. I want you to go ahead and give me each team in the division's grade real quick for free agency so far, okay? Give me your grade. We're going to start with Titan Rossi. Give me your grade for yourself and your counterparts.
Right now, I'm going to give them B+. I'm going to give them a B+ at this moment. They got a lot more to do, but I think they're doing pretty good right now.
And that's for the Titans, right?
Yeah.
How would you?
For each one.
Yeah. I'm going to put it up for you. How do you feel about?
I got you. Yeah, I got you. All right. So Houston, I would have to give Houston an A, possibly an A+. I'd say an A+, man. I think they're doing fantastic. I would say the Jaguars have done pretty well. I would give them an A, getting Josh Allen, getting him back, and Gabe Davis and Ezra Cleveland, all those guys. I would give Indy. They seem like they're just keeping a lot of their own guys at the moment. I see what they're doing. I would give them a B+ too.
Nice, interesting. Derek, go ahead and grade them for me.
I'll say B- for Indy right now. And the only reason it's that is just because of bringing back your own guys. If we see the Colts make a move at some point, for more of a higher end guy, then I'll bring it up a little bit. But I'm also comparing it to, the rest of these classes. I would probably say, a B+ for the Titans. I'll say it's an A- if they landed a really solid safety. That's what we're hearing right now. But they've had a good one. They brought in a couple of really good pieces that are going to help with their depth at a bunch of different positions. I'll go A- for the Jags right now. Like you said, it was the easy choice to bring back Josh Allen. That's something that had to be done. And then, getting a couple other guys there on the interior of the offensive line, sure that up, getting some help in the wide receiver department and a couple other guys in the secondary as well. That Darnell Savage one was a really good signing, I think. So I'll give that an A-. And, the Texans, you got to go with the A here. I know that I said that for a lot of these moves were kind of just like, letting one guy go and just bringing another one in to replace him, mainly from the linebacker position and the corner position. But of course, bringing in a Joe Mixon, who's, by all accounts can still be a top 10 running back in this league. And then obviously Danielle Hunter, who is obviously one of the best edge guys in the league still. It's a really good one. So I'll give it an A on that one.
Nice. UCF, grade them.
Yeah, I'll give the Jaguars a solid B. There was a lot of neutral kind of spots. When it comes to Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, Devin Duvernay, I think a bunch of those might be lateral moves. You get a big increase at center with Mitch Morse. We got to figure out a way to extend Josh Allen a little bit more. And Ezra Cleveland was banged up all last year, so you would think that you're getting a better player out of him. We'll see with the wide receiver spot because the Jaguars do bring back Calvin Ridley. Maybe a little bit question mark at Gabe Davis just because this is a pretty wide receiver heavy draft. But, I'm all about being able to give Trevor Lawrence some toys because, last year it was just, things kind of fell off the rails when it comes to, just the injuries at those positions. The Titans, I'll give the Titans an A- just because look, they're not in the position that they really need to be spending. I mean, they're shoring up some spots, and I imagine the money's going to be good next year. Where in 2025 they can really make their big push to kind of getting back into playoff contention. The Colts, I'll give the Colts also maybe a B-. They're bringing back a lot of the same players, and the Jaguars in 2023. A big thing that they did bad was like just trying to bring back the old gang again, and it turns out that if you're not getting better, you're kind of getting worse. And I think that there's some players that they missed out on. But my favorite guy, Chris Ballard, doesn't really like spending money on players that aren't on his team. But then the Houston Texans, we'll give them a B-. Just do better, guys. Come on.
I love it.
Ruben, take us away.
Man, I'll give the Colts a B for boring. However, I understand the moves that they made. They took care of their guys, bringing back Michael Pittman, Grover Stewart, Kenny Moore. You want to reward guys like that who have been balling out for you at home. So excited to see, what they could do. But I give the Indianapolis Colts a B. The Tennessee Titans C4 could not believe you did not do anything more. I mean, I thought the Tennessee Titans were going to go on a splurge. I was surprised about Tony Pollard. I was surprised about Kenneth Murray. They still have some work to do. If they go out there and get a high-profile wide receiver, that gets bumped up to a B. Jaguars, I'll give them an A-. I do love the Darnell Savage move. That is a move that I wanted the Houston Texans to make. Was upset when he got signed to Jacksonville. Gabe Davis, I like that as well. However, the contract, 3 years, $39 million, I was like, oh, god damn, Gabe Davis got himself a bag. But he is definitely going to try to prove himself. He thinks he's a good wide receiver in the NFL. And then Josh Allen coming back. I mean, one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. They get an A- for me. And then the Houston Texans, obviously the A+. Bringing in Joe Mixon, bringing in Danielle Hunter, and then Azeez Al-Shaair. I think that move we are going to love when we, go back 3 years and say, yeah, he was a very good linebacker for us and really developed under DeMeco Ryans as soon as he got to Houston. Overall, man, I just, everyone did a good job, but A+ for the Houston Texans.
All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is your AFC South Roundtable. Give it up for these guys. Listen, we're going to be live next week recapping all of the AFC South free agency moves. We'll have a better picture of the team, and then we get into draft mode. We got a lot of mock drafts coming your way and some other things. We want to say thank you for everybody who hit the like button. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Any last words, Titan Rossi, before we get out of here?
It's good to be back, man. It's good to be popping. It's good to have some news to talk about. I can't wait for the draft and tighten up.
Tighten up. Derek, talk to us.
I just hope Ballard does something soon, or else my heart might end up exploding.
UCF.
Yeah, shout out to all you guys. Love you guys, man. Shout out to Houston Texans fans. I love making you guys angry. I'm getting a lot of love on my Joe Mixon reel on the gram today. So, you guys do great for my view count and my impressions. So shout out to the H-Town, and also shout out to all the creators here.
And Ruben, take us away.
I think the only things that are guaranteed in life are death taxes and, UCF Jaguar talking about the Houston Texans. With that being said, man, hey, happy to be here. It feels good to be back talking with the fellas, man. This is probably my second favorite thing to do during the week, and I'm excited to ramp it up as the season gets going. H-Town Tilbridge round, Houston Texans once again. The stars of today.
Oh man, Richie came in. He heard all y'all say y'all was gonna beat the Jets. He ain't like that. But thank you everyone for tuning in to the AFC South Roundtable. We will see you all next week. Until next time, peace. We are out. Love y'all. AFC South.